Hello and welcome. My name's Maria McMahon, and I'm going to do a short series of videos for you this week. And it's all about narcissistic abuse healing and self-talk. So I'm going to talk briefly over 5 videos, so 1 video every day this week. And it's short, but it's going to give you a good idea of how important self-talk is. And I'm going to talk about why your self-talk can be so damaging and what you can do to change it. Now, I suggest when you watch any of these series of videos that I'm doing that you grab a pen and paper so that you can just jot down anything that comes up for you. What I want to do is help you to understand how you can banish negative self-talk permanently and reprogram your mind for self-worth. And it's not as massive a task as you might think. It's just a matter of getting used to thinking differently. Okay, so I'm going to share a lot of tips with you over the course of this week. So I hope you'll come and join me every day. So today we're going to look at how you currently talk to yourself and why it might be wrong. And you'll start the process of tuning in and listening to your own inner dialogue. On the second video, we'll look at the categories of negative self-talk, so I can break that down a little bit more for you. Then on the third video, I'm going to share some strategies to change your negative self-talk and begin what I call self-talk sense. And then on day 4, video 4, I'll talk about some self-talk solutions for you, part 1. And then on day 5, video 5, I'll give you some more self-talk sense solutions. So should be pretty easy and pretty beneficial for you if you're willing to pop in and check these out with me every day. And of course, I'd love to hear back from you and find out how you get on. So do share, do come back and connect with me. Okay, so first question for you today is, how do you talk to you? So I'd like you to get into that nitty-gritty of your self-talk. And you need to know that this is one of the most powerful things you can possibly do. If you're anything like the majority of my clients, the people I've worked with over the years, you're going to be shocked at the way you talk to yourself. Now, I always ask my clients to say, to ask themselves, if I feel this is a real issue, are you your own worst enemy? Because you probably spend the majority of your inner talk time, berating yourself for your past mistakes and your errors and your behavior and whatever. Even, and I hear this all the time, even for being involved with the narcissist. You go over and over in your mind, how could I have been so stupid? How could I let myself get so low? How could I put up with this treatment? What have I become? How could I do? And on and on and on, right? When you start looking at your self-talk carefully, you'll probably find that it's peppered with these types of phrases. Things like, it's all my fault, or is it all my fault? Am I the narcissist? And that's one that comes up a huge number of times, and I'll be doing a separate video on that. You'll be saying things to yourself like, maybe I should have, or I could have, or I wish I had. You'll be saying, I'm so stupid, how could I have been so stupid? Or I feel so guilty about this or that. Or I should be over this now, I should be better by now. I'll never be happy again. I'll never find another woman or man to love me the way that person did. So that's just a small example. There's probably a ton more that you can add to that. And just ask yourself how many of those phrases sound familiar to you. So as I mentioned, the vast majority of people who are dealing with narcissistic abuse are guilty, and I say that with, inverted commas. I don't mean that you're guilty, but you're guilty of talking to yourself in that way. They're all talking to themselves in this way, everyone I deal with. And they generally are being way too hard on themselves. So if you think about how much you've already been put down by the narcissist in your life, and then you're also doing it to yourself. You're doing the same thing to yourself. So how's that going to help you to feel happier or healthier, to live a more wholesome, fulfilled, and successful life? How's that going to help you to heal? The answer is that it isn't, plain and simple. So I want to tell you a bit more about why the way we talk to ourselves is all wrong. When you constantly talk down to yourself in this kind of negative way, you get stuck in this negative cycle of self-criticism that's emotionally draining for you, and it's counterproductive to who you truly are. Now, if you remember to what I said in a previous video about your subconscious beliefs and how they make you feel, how they make your deep inner self feel. They make your deep inner self feel lousy because you keep hurting your deep inner self all the time. Negative self-talk, it's like beating yourself over the head with a big stick, if you think about it. Now, the bruises that you get from this constant verbal, beating that you give yourself, they're emotional bruises. They erode your own sense of self-worth and value, which is the very last thing you need, because let's face it, the narcissist in your life has already done a massive number on you on that way. So you have to think about your emotional health. It's so important to you. It's easily as important as your physical health. Now, it's also really important to understand that thoughts become things. Thought is everything. Everything that happens in this world is a product of thought. If you think about everything that exists, everything material that exists, it was all a thought in somebody's head before it happened. Even the entire universe was a thought in the creator's head before it happened, if you want to go like big picture thinking. But let's bring it back down. Let's stay down here on Earth. So your thoughts create your reality, and everything you think about dictates how you feel about yourself and what's going on in your life. So the more negative thinking you do, the more negative things you bring into your life, and that's feelings, emotions. And that includes if you're involved with a narcissist. Because, and I risk going out on a limb when I say this, but if you are still with a narcissist, it's a choice that you've made. I know that's maybe going to get some people a bit pissed off, but there's always a choice to do something else. I'm not saying it's an easy choice. I know women particularly who've had to go to shelters and find sanctuary there. I know women who've had to spend years and years and years secretly saving, secretly planning for an escape. One woman in particular I've talked about before, it took her 14 years of secret saving until she was able to, with a very fine-tuned escape plan, to get away. So, I know it isn't easy for some people, but it's possible. And you have to do the one thing that's most important for you is to make the decision that you're going to choose to get out, even if it's going to take you years. So you always have a choice. So I say that as well because it's important for you when you realize that and you think, well, okay, I have a choice. I'm choosing to stay for whatever reason. When you make that decision, or you reach that understanding that you have a choice, that makes you less of a victim. Instantly, the minute you realize that, you understand that you're not as much of a victim as you thought you were, because you have a choice. And from there, you can decide to make better choices, to make new choices. Even as I said, if it's going to take you years, okay? But let's say that you're not stuck in a situation and you are out of the narcissistic situation, or you just want to feel better, whatever. So I want to come back to how you should talk to yourself. As I've said, when you constantly feed your mind negative input, this seeps into your subconscious, and it starts to believe everything that you're telling it, and it becomes, a self-fulfilling prophecy almost. And in truth, it only has you to rely on for its information. Because even when somebody, a narcissist in your life, says really horrible, ugly things to you, you're still the filter. You're the filter that can allow that through or decide to block it. So you don't have to accept everything that a narcissist is telling you and let it sink in and become even more of your reality. You actually have a choice to say, no, I don't accept this, I reject this. Even if you're not in a position to stand up and face that person and say it to their face, which I understand you may not be, you can make a decision for yourself inside that no, you can say what you like. I'm not having that. I'm not buying into that anymore. I reject this. You can say that to yourself. So try it the next time somebody says something negative or hurtful or nasty to you. Instead of thinking, oh God, yeah, and shrinking down inside yourself, just sit up and think, no, I'm not buying into that. I'm not having that. I don't like the sound of that. I'm fed up with that crap. Think that and see how that feels for you. Just give it a try, because you will feel a difference. Now, the consequence and the cost to you of constantly negatively talking to yourself and absorbing and believing all the negative stuff is very, very high. Because, there's a raft of research out there that shows that negative self-talk causes a range of psychosomatic problems. So not only does it, affect your self-esteem and your confidence levels, it can also create anxiety, panic attacks. It causes tiredness, lethargy, stress off the charts. A ton of autoimmune diseases have been connected with stress and connected with this negative self-esteem. It can lead to depression. And of course, it can lead to other things like eating disorders, addictions, alcohol addiction, drug addiction, and more. So all of this is backed up by research. I'm not saying this to frighten you. It's out there. Go Google it and you'll find out for yourself. So it's really important that you get on board with the reality and start talking differently to yourself. So it's time to become aware of the way you're talking, the words you're using, and questioning their validity. And I will come back over the next, the series of videos I'm doing over the next couple of weeks is going to help you to really understand how you start doing this. And then you can choose to use better words. You can use words that are kinder to yourself. And as I said, I'm going to get into how to do that later on. So doing this is a small step towards self-compassion. And it's a small step, but the impact is bigger than you might imagine. Now, another thing that I want to point out here is that sometimes you have to accept the bad feelings, because sometimes no matter what you do, you can't shift out of the negative feeling place. So what do you do then? Well, you sit with it. You own it. You try really tuning into the feelings and accept that they're part of you, they're part of your experience. And that's okay. And then ask yourself whether there's anything you can do to shift out of that negative place. Is there something that's worked for you in the past? And there may generally, you'll often find that there is something. You'll think, oh yeah, I remember the last time I felt like this. I went for a walk down by the river, or I took a walk on the beach, or, I took my dog out, or I went and had a coffee at Starbucks, or whatever. It could be a million and one things. So if there was something that's worked for you in the past, it might work for you again. For me, I occasionally get down like everybody else does. I think it's part of the human condition. I don't think any of us walks around on cloud nine all the time. So I get occasional down days, and I don't like when they happen. But what I've come to learn, for me personally, is that they always pass, always. So when I do get an occasional down day, I just accept it, and I say to myself, this will pass. Yeah, I feel like crap today, but this will pass. By tomorrow, and for me, it usually doesn't last more than a day, but, I say, by tomorrow, I'll feel differently. I'll feel okay again. And that's enough. That works for me. Quite often what I find for me as well is that when that does happen, I then get days where I feel much more inspired and joyful than ever. But the point is for you is, don't beat yourself up if you still feel down sometimes, even amidst all the hard work that you're doing to change. You will become stronger and more confident as you chip away at these long-held thoughts and the negative beliefs that you've kind of come to own. And the more light you shed on them, the stronger you'll get. So don't get derailed if you happen to slip up. Just accept that the feeling will leave you. It may take a day or two, it may take a little bit longer, but it will leave. Okay, so what I want to do now is call it a day on this video. I would like to say, if you have any comments about this content I've shared today, if you have any special ways that help you to get over the bad days, do share them. Come in and share them, because it's nice for me to see, and it's good for other people to see. And as always, I say, if you want to connect with me, come and join one of my Facebook groups. I would be very happy to see you join my Facebook group, where I have an incredible bunch of people, both men in one group and women in another group, and mixed in another group. So plenty to choose from depending on what you're looking for. So I will put links below the videos, and do join me tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to be digging even more deeply into self-talk. I'm going to break it down for you even further into the different categories of self-talk and how they kind of show up. And you'll really start to get a good understanding of where you can start making big changes for yourself, because that's all that matters at the end of the day. What little changes can you make that then become big changes that make big differences in how you feel about yourself? This is how you start redefining yourself and rebuilding your self-worth, okay? So thank you very much, and I will see you hopefully for the next video tomorrow. Bye for now. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your time. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit like, and of course your comments are always welcome. I'm Maria Rahman, and if you'd like to know more about how I can help you to heal from narcissistic abuse, check out the links below where you will be able to connect with me. And of course, please share this video with anyone that you think it will help. Thank you very much again for watching.